Yo, Natsu here. Sorry for the two last videos. Well, wind problem, I should say. Well, probably more than just the two last videos. I don't remember for sure. But, yeah, basically, since I do my videos outside, whatever the wind is, I still go and do them. So, yeah. Sorry for the last two videos where my voice was a little hard to hear for some points because of the wind. Today there shouldn't be any problems, actually. Yesterday I skipped my video for that day because my leg was literally killing me. And I basically woke up with a headache, entire body hurting, but in particular my right leg. It was so hard to walk on it, and yet I still went to school. Then I had to walk back from school. Then at home I had to do a bit of work before actually being able to, sit down, or I should say lie down in my case, and let it relax. So there was no, literally, there was no way for me to come out and do my video. Sorry about that. Anyway, in the last part of What If Deku Could Learn, Deku had passed between two continents, which basically he passed above the largest ocean, got a scale of the Light Dragon King, allowing him to fly between every continent without actually being stopped by either dragons or, anyone else. Got one of the badges from the continent he was going to, and now he is trying to find the dragon he was, commissioned to hunt. Which took him, I think I said a month. I know in my scripts it says around a month. So I'm going to go with that one. Basically, I read my script before going. But yeah, basically, the dragon was on the complete opposite side of the continent. Basically making Deku look for an entire month just for that. We're catching back up the day before he finds it. He is actually in a small town that was attacked not long ago, who were actually able to repel the dragon thanks to a barrier around the entire town that basically uses a huge amount of magic crystals, specifically to make the barrier. Basically, a magic crystal is just an ore filled with so much nanomachines that it can be forged into different weapons. Basically, they don't have elements or stuff like that, it's just they have a huge amount of power, which Deku knows. Oh, there was a fox! Sorry. But yeah, basically, everyone just sees it as magic, but Deku knows that it's nanomachines, which basically, the entire stone is basically a crystallized, version of millions and millions and millions of nanomachines all stuck together, who basically formed a crystalline appearance that can actually be see-through, depending on which one. And basically, the less you can see through them, the more nanomachines is in it. Basically, what fills the gaps between the nanomachines are different types of crystals and ores that basically is able to be forged into something, and because of the nanomachines inside of it, once you actually forge something with them, it actually reactivates them, and basically makes it so that they constantly repair the weapon and making it stronger and stronger over time, which basically people just think, oh, it's growing with the user. Basically compared to like little armors or stuff that are made to grow with the user, this is what people think it does, but it's more or less just, oh yeah, as long as someone is touching it who can use nanomachines, they are activated and basically make the weapon harder and harder and harder over time, as well as repairing it. So if are a few feet away from anyone, basically there's nothing that will happen in the weapon, and it will just stay like that for a huge amount of time. Basically over time absorbing more other nanomachines inside of it by basically having nanomachines be brought to it over time, just through the normal flow of air, and then basically over time becoming even stronger and stronger and growing faster and faster and faster until basically it becomes something that would be seen as unbreakable. So, yeah. Basically, they used a huge amount of those, basically crushed in a machine under the city that they don't actually know is a machine. Well, no, they know it's a machine, but they just think it works through pure magic by putting magic crystal in it, instead of the barrier literally being, well, the entire population of nanomachines that are placed into it being forced to create a, well, crystallized looking thing that act as a barrier. And the more nanomachines there are, the more powerful the barrier is, and the more it can resist. So yeah, basically that town buys magic crystals at a pretty low price, exactly because, well, they always need more. Basically for if something happens, and depending on what's coming, well, they just kind of make a barrier and put as many crystals as they think they need. Well, basically they can just put all of it, since if it's not used, the machine basically just reabsorbs them. But if the shield is broken, the part where it was broken, basically the nanomachines can't actually be brought back, since they aren't directly linked with the machine anymore. So yeah, basically they just see it as, well, losing power over time when something attacks it, but it's more or less just, oh, the nanomachines lose what was telling them to do this specific task and basically do something else. So, going back in the air. Basically, that's the only reason most of the town survived. They basically used the entire charge of magic crystal they had lying around. And basically, there's a few quests that are basically, oh yeah, go find as many magic crystals as you can. Which Deku basically decided to take one of those before going towards the mountain. Basically thinking, okay, for today I'm going to stop looking, taking a break of that, going to do something else, and while in the mountain, he basically finds the dragon. Basically the next day when he goes to the mountain, he finds the dragon and basically just kind of says, oh, so my day off I find you. Nice. And basically where he finds the dragon is, well, specifically digging in the earth, trying to find and eat magic crystals. Specifically, this dragon is trying to eat those crystals to try and get the, well, quote-unquote magic from it. Oh, a cat. Sorry. And basically, to grow stronger, which was the reason why it attacked so many cities, basically trying to get as much as possible. Basically, it only made a path from where it started, basically being released from a cave that, he destroyed by himself, since he was trapped in there a few hundred years ago, in a cave with thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of, magic crystals. Basically, the dragon eating them, growing stronger, basically eating anything, trying to survive, growing stronger from that, and basically eating more over time because it made him stronger, and he was able to survive off of them. Which is why this dragon is above S rank, though people didn't understand that since no S rank were actually called beforehand. Since they just thought, a group of 5 or 6 A rank adventurers would be able to do the trick. Failed massively, no S rank coming, no double S rank coming, no triple S rank coming. And then Deku basically taking the request for A rank adventurers. But they were basically looking for groups of A ranks, not a single A rank. Since Deku is B rank, if I remember correctly, but basically able to beat low S ranks. Basically, they just told him he can try, but not to put his hopes up. But that because of his speed of growth, he should still be able to get stronger over time and maybe do something. But yeah, when Deku found it, he actually scanned it with nanomachines and nearly shit his pants. Because from the amount of strength it had, it would be classed as a double S, if not nearly triple S rank monsters, which is bad. After that, there's the legendary class and extinction class, but yeah, he was just trying to at least lowball it as much as possible, while still giving it the right, class, because, fudgicle, that dragon's strong. Basically knowing he couldn't do anything on his own unless he's really super freaking lucky. Basically, Deku tries not to engage and just find out about it. Which fails, because Deku is releasing, his own mental abilities are pretty impressive because of the multiple minds inside of him. But more importantly, the nanomachines are basically releasing some type of waves as well that basically catch onto brain waves, basically alerting some races to their presence. And because of Deku's immense amount of nanomachines inside of his body, since his body literally creates them by itself, compared to normal nanomachines that either duplicate themselves by eating different things and then making more, or sometimes even having some plants actually being bioengineered specifically to create them and release them like pollen. Deku making them himself in his body basically attracts a lot of attention from monsters that actually are looking for stuff that have a lot. So basically, Deku is looked at by the dragon as an all-you-can-eat buffet. Which is bad, because now the dragon turns his head from the little pile of rocks that's in front of him and looks at Deku precisely. With Deku just knowing that, oh fuck, basically takes out his wings that are already out and basically speeds off as fast as he can, well, as far away as it from a town as possible, trying to go towards the water, precisely. Hoping that while there, he could maybe get the help of some water dragons, if he's lucky. But yeah, he was still trying to at least attract the dragon, so he wasn't going full speed. Basically trying to just stay in front of the dragon. A few, well, about 2 or 3 kilometers ahead. But at a place where the dragon could still see him. Since he doesn't know yet that, oh yeah, he can sense nanomachines. And go towards him. So he could have just went faster and the robots inside of him would have still alerted him to where he was. Since now he was specifically thinking of hunting that tasty piece of meat. Basically since, yeah, he was literally hunting for anything with nanomachines. Magic crystal more specifically at first, but when finding beings or creatures that had many, he was still hunting those at the minimum. And Deku, who had, well, more nanomachines in his body than, well, the low-class crystals that the dragon was eating right there. Yeah, Deku's in trouble. And since he didn't know that the dragon was specifically looking for nanomachines, well, Deku basically placed two of his parallel minds on forcefully producing more nanomachines. One of his minds using earth magic to forcefully, raise materials from the ground to basically bring to him, to absorb it in his body, to then actually use them as material for the nanomachines, instead of completely using his nano magic. Even though by this point, because of how fast his magic regeneration is, he shouldn't have any problems with it. But still. Basically just making himself look even more and more tasty by the, way of thinking of the dragon. Basically just looking like the buffet is just growing over time. So yeah, when reaching the water though, basically what he saw was, nothing more than water. He had sent some nanomachines in front of him, which aren't able to go as fast as him normally, but since he is slowed down to basically let the dragon follow him, they were able to go faster than him. And basically, in over a 60-kilometer range, no dragons were around to maybe help Deku defeat that one. The reason is that they felt that dragon and said, oh fuck no, and basically all left. So yeah. But still, basically Deku looked at this as still a good opportunity by basically plunging underwater. Oh yeah, I think I should say this because I think I forgot to say it. Over time in this world, he did develop 2 or 3 different modifications to his body to help him be better. First of them is actually gills. Well, specifically on this continent for the month he was there, basically he developed gills from a, what name did I give them? It wasn't fish race, it was a specific type of fish. I think it was catfish race or something like that, which had gills, and basically he had seen them in a river, they were going faster than him. well, while he was walking, basically decided to see what they were going. One of them spotted Deku, asked him what he was doing, with him just saying that he thought they were just big fish. Saying sorry, basically said that, well, why? Well, basically telling him that he should be careful not to try and hunt, well, other beasts, well, other people, and basically just asked him if he's hungry. Basically, Deku saying that it's not that he's hungry, more or less that he is supposed to try and find a specific type of fish for a quest, basically being true, since he wasn't just looking around without doing anything. He was taking quests over time, but mostly quests like, oh yeah, go from this city to that city and try to find this type of things. Basically to keep going through his travels while still getting money over time. So, yeah, basically, that's when they basically tried to help him find it, said that they were deep underwater. Deku trying to use the same tactic of making a air bubble around him as he used before leaving the magic world. Basically, he saw that it was slowing him down underwater, since he had to push the water away to keep the bubble around him, making him need to slow down, until he saw the gills and basically tried to replicate them over time. Basically, it didn't take him only a few hours, it took him a few days, so after basically that thing, a few days later, he was finally able to do them correctly, and now he's able to swim underwater and breathe underwater. Another thing he basically made for himself because of other beastmans is actually because he met for the first time an actual kitsune. Basically, she was a purple-haired girl with 7 tails who actually had found Deku interesting because of the huge amount of nanomachines he had, inside and around him following it. Basically, even the nanomachines in the air were kind of just following Deku. Basically, from him literally just having so much brain waves from having literally 9 different parallel minds working at the same time. Yeah, it was pretty attractive for the nanomachines, making him look even more like a buffet for the dragon is that specifically. But yeah, basically, what he developed because of her is actually something that she basically explained about her body, which allows her to sense nanomachines, which are basically, the tail that kitsunes have, their first tail is made to actually help locate those. So Deku basically tried to copy that, so his tail he normally uses can do that, actually locate more nanomachines. Basically, she also thought it was magic, so she called it magic for Deku. But he understood that it's basically just a metal detector that looks for concentration of, specific waves of energy, which are the waves that are sent by the robots to interact with brainwaves. The last thing he actually created for himself is a type of, on his back, kind of like jets, basically, but basically made of natural elements. Basically a race that has, the ability to fly, as if they had a jetpack without actually having one. It's basically using chemicals in their bodies, then mixing them and having a spot on their body that's basically made with extremely hardened scales, basically allowing fire to come out of that and allowing them to fly. That race has wings, so basically Deku made that to help him go faster if anything happens. Basically, he knows he doesn't need it, but he thinks that it could be useful if he doesn't have Nen or magic anymore. Basically just modifying his body to have that temporarily and just doing it could be pretty useful. Mostly with an ability he had developed a bit earlier, which is the ability to stock more and more mass inside of his body without it actually changing, which I think I also forgot to mention. Basically, when he ate the Emerald Apple, his body tried to create a space where he could stock them, but instead it actually created something else, which allowed his body to stockpile massive amount of matter. So like, he eats food, that food goes there until it's needed by his body, and basically he can eat like 300 times his own body weight, well, body mass I should say. So yeah, that's a lot, and basically doesn't change in weight, basically because that specific part of his body basically just copied the necklace's magical energy, which is basically magic storage used by space magic. So basically the space he has inside of his body can contain a huge amount of matter without any problem. Also, the example that I gave is not the maximum amount it can have. It can actually go to nearly 500 times the mass of Deku's body in terms of matter. And then once that's reached, it actually compresses it inside of it until the point where it cannot compress mass more before it makes a black hole, where then Deku isn't able to eat more to fill it up. It just goes into his normal body and makes him fat. So yeah, basically he has that, but he never actually uses it because he didn't actually learn of it yet. Well, no, he knows of it. He just doesn't actually know how it exactly works. But he can use some matter from there to actually create his nanomachines or repair himself. It's just that he never actually eats too much, except once when he actually found out about it. But yeah, basically, going back to Deku's, thing right now, I was talking about the gills. Deku basically went straight underwater, thinking that the dragon would not follow him. Which he was wrong. The dragon did try to follow him, though because Deku went there, the dragon does now have a bit of a problem. Deku is not in his own element either, but he has a lot better, maneuverability, basically using his wings instead of to fly to basically move underwater, basically doing like a water dragon and using it in a specific way instead of, in air, allowing him to actually do it anyway. But the dragon that's following him is still able to follow him pretty well. Basically, what Deku was hoping to do was drown him, but after 30 minutes, the dragon didn't even seem to have any problems. Which Deku doesn't understand why, until he scans the body again, and actually finds that, oh, the nanomachines in his body are actually, well, forcefully, for making his body still continues to work by burning themselves out, making the dragon weaker over time, but basically giving him still energy to work, as if he was still breathing oxygen. Basically allowing its brain and everything else to go on without any problem. For, well, as long as he has nanomachines. Which Deku tries to see how much the dragon exactly has when he finds out about that. And calculates that if he actually wants to kill that dragon only doing this, he's going to need to wait about 2 or 3 days for it to die. Gah. Which he miscalculated. One thing though, the dragon will take more and more and more nanomachines to power himself, because the less nanomachines he has in his body, the more his weight actually will be felt, and the more energy he will have to use to try and stay afloat. Basically making him burn through his nanomachines faster and faster and faster over time. Basically meaning he only needs to wait about 18 hours before it dies. But Deku couldn't know about that part, since obviously the dragon cell has way too much in his body. So yeah, Deku decides to try something different, which is to actually fight the dragon while still underwater. Which is a bad idea, but he still tries. Basically, it goes on the offensive by, well, first, using true magic to try and control the water and try to attack the dragon with different types of water attacks. Which has bad results, let's just say. The dragon, after being attacked directly, tries to do a breath attack at Deku, which doesn't work well for the dragon. Trying to breathe in while underwater, he already knew he couldn't breathe, but since the dragon saw that, oh, I don't need to breathe right now, he basically just kept going, but didn't realize that, oh yeah, breath attack, I'll need to breathe in before expelling it. Basically taking a massive gulp of water, hurting himself, but also allowing Deku to see a weak spot, which is actually the winning piece here. Basically forcefully moves closer to the dragon, making it look as if the dragon, well, as if Deku had slowed down, making the dragon go for a bite that time. Which, the moment the dragon opened its mouth, Deku basically froze a massive amount of water around the dragon's head, freezing it with its mouth open, the dragon trying to close it near instantly, and then Deku basically making a massive bubble of ice around a huge amount of water. Sorry about that. That is right in front of the dragon's mouth. And then just forcefully, well, puts his hand in it and creates a massive amount of air. Basically forcing all of their water, which cannot be compressed, to basically just rush towards the dragon's, well, inner mouth. Well, insides. Since that's the only place where it can actually expand. The dragon's starting to freak out, trying to break the ice. Deku keeping it, well, basically always just adding more ice, making it harder and harder and harder to break over time. Basically, the dragon is able to crack it, but because Deku keeps fixing it, it doesn't do well for the dragon, who basically explodes a few minutes later. Deku basically grabs as much as he can, basically, using, trying to use his small, let's just say, pocket inside of himself to house the entire thing of the dragon, and trying to make his, some of his duplicate mind basically focus on eating everything else in there, and when there's nothing else in there, to not touch the dragon at all. And in fact, try to place back some pieces, trying to make sure that it doesn't look as if he exploded like that. Which basically Deku came out of the water, went back to the mountain to grab as many crystals as he could, putting them in a special bag that they gave him before the quest, which is actually, kind of like his magic bag that he already has, but basically it's able to turn anything that that is made mostly of nanomachines into basically a massively smaller amount of things, basically compressing it. Basically, since nanomachines can, even though they are the size of a cell, if they need to, they can actually compress to around, actually having about 1 million of them stuck in that same amount of space. Which is pretty impressive, let's just say it like that. Basically, what it is that they kind of just, one of the science in this world, basically ghosts exist. They are able to become intangible. It's basically the exact same thing. All becoming intangible and putting themselves in the same place. But because even if the mass is intangible, if there's enough, it basically still becomes tangible. So yeah, it's basically able to force the nanomachines to do that, as well as forcing some of the matter around it to do the same thing, to basically, allow a massive amount of magic crystals to be placed in a bag that is pretty small. Though the moment you take them out, they take back their entire space. So yeah, be careful about that. Basically, Deku digs the entire vein that the dragon had found, which are all lesser crystals, but it doesn't actually matter. They're just asking for magic crystals of any type. Even though the more quote-unquote magic is in it, the more they will give you in cash. And basically, the amount that Deku has right now is pretty hard to find in a single day. Basically, entire mining crews could have a harder time getting that much in a month, in an entire month of time. The only reason that Deku can dig that much in that little time is because of the same thing he did in the magic world. Earth magic to lift it, wind magic to break it, and sand everything that isn't, ores, crystals, or whatever else like that, and then just bring it to himself. Basically allowing him to get a huge amount until he goes back to the town. Basically said he completed, 2 quests. The receptionist asked which quests they are, with Deku saying that he got a huge amount of magic crystals, which are welcomed, and then takes out of his magic bag, true magic bag, the quest of slaying the dragon that has one eye and is missing a leg. A few people starts laughing, saying that there's no way he could have done that. And Deku basically will ask all of his minds to basically force out everything while keeping it in the pieces they already are in. Basically making him throw out in a designated space for the amount of mass that should be there. Basically, an entire dragon exploded in half because the parallel mines weren't able to completely fix it, but at least made it look as if he basically just, exploded the dragon from the outside instead of from the inside. Basically, they asked how he did it, with Deku saying that, he just forcefully activated a large amount of magic from inside magic ores, magic crystals, pushing it on the dragon, and basically letting them all out. Basically exploding it. Lying, yes, but basically making them think that, oh fucking god! Simply because, yes, magic crystals can explode. They do that when basically something activates all of the nanomachines inside of it, who aren't able to actually move too much since it's literally the nanomachines crystallize themselves. And when someone forges something with those nanomachines, they are basically allowed to move from having whatever they are encased in melt a bit, allowing them to move around and start to do things. But people just see it as, the magic is released. But when a crystal has all of the magic, quote unquote, inside of it activated at once without it being forged or refined, they explode. Which basically made them think that, this kid's dangerous. Basically getting his money for both quests and going back to his own, not his own, but going back to the first continent he came from. Basically arriving a day or two later from stopping at two different places. But yeah, basically when he arrived, firstly the Coast Guard tried to stop him. He first shown the scale as well as on his badge and on his guild card that he has the right to go. Basically making them bring him to the king, for him to get the badge, for him to finally be let go, for him to go to the guild finally, which is on another town further away. When Deku finally reaches the town, he actually sees that it's in a bit of an uproar. Basically, what's going on is that after 5.5 months, nearly, since Deku arrived, the place that was looking for a monster finally found it. And it was not alone. Basically, what's going on is that every adventurers are basically told to, come and try to fight as well. Since, they are having problems, and if the city is then attacked, it would be bad because of all the civilians who aren't able to fight. Basically, when Deku arrives at the guild and that they see him, he basically only has time to say that he finished the dragon quest no, not the game. um, basically, the moment he says that, they basically ask him to go help with, well, the problem they have right now. They basically explain to Deku that the A rank monster they thought they had seen, well, no, the B rank monster that they thought someone had seen turned out to be an A rank, or precisely 20 of them. And so since Deku has been able to kill an S rank monsters, which is actually a double S monster, but by pure luck, they don't know about the double S monster part though, they basically tell him to go. Basically telling him that the more contribution you have, the better it is. So if you're able to kill a monster, you will have more cash. Basically, Deku just says that the only thing he wants from those monsters, after hearing their names and having read about them somewhere in a book, he just says that he wants their hearts. Which the Guildmaster hears and just says that if he's able to kill them, he can have all of them as well. Basically, if you people just looking at Deku a bit crazily, because from what the few people who actually know of the monsters, know that the hearts have a huge amount of, well, magic in them. Which is actually the part of the monster that is the less possible to eat, because even a single bite could kill even, well, some high race. By high race I mean white hairs, not high race like... Why is there a fucking car there? Is it... Okay, I think I'm going to move, because that was a police car. So I think maybe something is going on right now. Yeah, I'm going to move. Anyway, as I was saying beforehand, basically, those of lower races, not dragons and stuff and the likes, well, beastmans I mean, so dragon, beastmans, Kitsune beastmans, or other stuff of this rank or one rank lower, can actually take one bite and survive, though they can't actually gain a lot of benefits from it. So basically the guildmaster, who had heard about Deku eating an entire emerald apple in one go and survived, basically just heard about taking the hearts and just said, okay, fine. The others didn't understand it, even some that actually knew about the green apple, emerald apple incident. But yeah, basically Deku just kind of was told that yes, he can keep them, and basically just said to send a message to the others that are there to just hold them back. He's going. Basically, the guildmaster literally instantly takes something to talk to other people, says that someone is coming to kill them, and to stop trying to attack them, he's going to end them fast. He just needs to arrive. Someone on the other side, basically it was said on loudspeakers, basically, so everyone heard it. Someone basically asked if, well, he was sure, because literally right now they should try to at least reduce their numbers. Nobody can arrive that fast. With the guildmasters just counting 3, 2, 1, and everyone just hearing a massive boom. Basically looking, the guy who had talked bad to the guildmaster just looked towards where the monsters were, and basically saw 2 of them fall on the ground, with simply a devil flying over them. And just looking at this, everyone just kind of realized one thing. A childlike purple-winged devil with white hair. In particular, one guy just saw him and screamed, "Yes!" Basically, that was the guy, well, one of the adventurers that was saved by Deku by getting the green apples, emerald apples. Basically, he had heard of what had happened to Deku, and basically saw Deku with doing a few things, and basically just screamed that, yeah, this is going to end now! He's going to kill them! Basically, before Deku could kill any more, the guildmaster then said that all this kid wants is the hearts. So you can grab anything else except those. Basically making everyone just looks at Deku, with only 3 people there just thinking, well, figures. One is the adventurers that went with him for the green apple, emerald apple. The second is the one that had screamed yes. And another one who is actually a young girl-looking being with cat ears. That person is actually one of the 2 girls he talked with. One being the succubus, who is also there but basically forgot about Deku and didn't actually care about the thing with a 20-year-old turning into a 9-year-old looking boy. And basically the cat girl had actually thought might be this kid, and when she saw him did understand that, yeah, it's him. The succubus didn't actually realize until, well, after the battle had ended, about 5 minutes later, when the cat girl actually told her that, oh, hey, you remember this guy, right? That's the quote-unquote kid. Well, that's the kid. The succubus not believing it, until basically she went to talk with him. Basically, Deku had taken the hearts, which are pretty big, basically placed them in his magic bag, which still has enough space for them, and still has enough space for a few things, but not a lot. But yeah, basically placed them all there. Basically, the 2 adventurers that knew Deku basically went to talk to him, told him good job, and Deku basically grabbed, well, from 2 of the monsters, the eyes, as well as some teeth. Basically, a few adventurers asking why he's taking those, he said he only wanted the hearts, with Deku basically giving them to those 2 adventurers, saying that he knows them and he prefers to give those to him. Well, give them those things. Basically, a few people understanding that, yeah, it's true that he did kill them nearly on his own, so we can't actually blame him for giving some stuff away if he says he's only keeping the hearts. So, yeah. While Deku was leaving, the cat girl and the succubus actually catched up to Deku before he actually flew away to ask if it truly was, well, him. He saw them and did remember them, but just literally kept a poker face and asked, "Who are you?" Just to kind of try and get out of this embarrassing moment, which didn't work. The succubus actually recognizing him that time because of the weird ambience around him, and saying to him that he got pretty strong now. Trying once again to use the pheromones on him, with him literally just pushing her away, saying that he doesn't want her pheromones. She can keep them to herself. Basically saying, so it is you. With Deku just saying, he'll shut it. basically calling her boobs in that moment, saying shut up boobs, with her basically laughing because that's the most childish punch at someone that she has ever heard. Damn, I have trouble speaking. But yeah, basically, the cat girl saying that, so this is what he truly looks like, without any magic or anything. With him saying that this is now his appearance, and basically says minus the wings, and basically finally flies away. The cat girl basically saying that was a weird way of saying it. Okay, so after basically that happened, Deku went back to the guild, said he had done it, with the guild master saying that, yeah, the moment it happened, someone had told them that, yeah, he's done fighting. With a few people just cheering him on as, well, the hero. Which Deku said, please don't call me that. Not saying that he's not a hero, just thinking to himself that he's not a hero yet. Since in his world, a hero needs a license. And he's basically just thinking that he's only going to call himself a hero for real when that will be, well, done. So, yeah. After that moment, Deku basically ate one of the hearts after separating himself and going into the forest. Basically, for the first time since the last time he went to the fairy forest and went into the forest itself with the maze to go back to the tree in the middle. When he arrived there, a few, balls of light, shapes of light were in the air, basically already waiting for him, asking him why he's back after taking the apples the last time. Basically feeling his presence, but when he actually arrives through the trees, basically asking if they know him. Then one of them saying that they thought another person was coming. Deku saying that it's him. One of the fairies asking how he got white hair now. And Deku basically just said that he ate one of the apples and that, yeah, basically one of the fairies didn't let him finish. And basically said, wait. Oh, God. Basically saying that, so you took a bite of the apple and it pushed you all the way to white hairs. With Deku saying, not just one bite. He ate the entire thing in one go. Current seed included. With nearly every fairy just starting to talk in a single, nearly at the same time, basically saying that this shouldn't be happening, this is bad, he ate some of the seeds, they needed to be used to make more trees, and basically just freaking out until one of them just kind of snapped and screamed out loud, wait, he survived after eating the seeds? Basically because they know that it has a huge amount of magic, and that a single seed can grow an entire tree, but has so much magic in it that it's able to create an environment where fairies can live freely. And if Deku was able to actually eat one of those and survive, even more normally those apples have around 3 to 12 seeds, basically depending on how many it was in there, he should be dead even from only one. So how many was in it, and how did he survive it? Deku just literally said that the apple he ate had 9 seeds. just nonchalantly, with one of the fairies just kind of screaming at him that he shouldn't talk like that, with them asking why he's here, with Deku actually taking out the hearts, well, all 20 hearts, and basically saying that he's about to eat those, and that, well, just to be sure he doesn't want to be in the middle of, well, the city. The fairy's asking why he thinks this place would be better, with him saying that all of the excess magic, basically knowing they're nanomachines, but still talking like it's two normal people, if he eats them here and that a huge amount of magic is released from him, well, this place will actually benefit from it. So, what do they want? For him to leave? Or for him to maybe give them more magic around here? Some fairy, all the fairies basically debating, and ending it as a 60 to 40 in favor of him staying to eat them here. Basically in hopes that, oh, it might actually give us back some magic. And so Deku starts to eat them. Since each heart is, like, literally bigger than his head, like, almost 2 times bigger than his head, Deku basically just kind of, yeah, not all of it directly goes to his own stomach. Basically, nearly all of it goes straight to the pocket stomach that he has, and basically doesn't release any magic at all. They basically get disappointed, saying that now it's just mean of him. With Deku just saying that, hey, he didn't know he would be able to absorb them that easily. Basically saying that when he ate the entire apple, seed included, it took him 8 gruesome hours, with him having multiple minds thinking and feeling all of that pain, while also having his mind accelerated by a few times, basically making him feel more than 30 hours of pain quite easily, while his body was destroying itself with his own regeneration fixing it. So basically thinking that 20 hearts just about equals 2 apples in total. Basically calculating by the amount of, well, nanomachines inside the other apple he still has, which that one actually has 12 seeds. So it has more magic in total than the previous one, but basically, because of that, calculated that 10 of those hearts basically equaled a single apple, like the one he still has. And basically thought that a huge amount would be released, but no. Though, first off, his body doesn't have that many nanomachines inside of it. Like, it doesn't have as many as the apples, but that's only because he keeps releasing them or halting his body from actually creating more than he needs, which would make him stronger over time, but he doesn't think about it. And now basically those hearts are just going to stay in his stomach until he actually needs them. So, yeah. Basically says sorry to the fairies, and basically says that in exchange, and basically takes out the dragon's heart that he had actually kept in his stomach. Basically the only thing he didn't spat out. Basically saying that if they want, they can try to put that as nutrients for the tree. The fairies asking him why he didn't take that heart as well for power, with him just saying, I don't know. The actual reason why he didn't do it is because all of his instincts were crying and screaming at him to not eat it, or to not absorbing at the very least. The reason for it is actually quite simple. A dragon's heart still contains their quote-unquote soul for this world. Basically, in this world, soul also exists. Basically, in every world it exists. So, basically, the dragon's heart contains the soul of the dragon, and if someone who doesn't have the ability to digest a soul tries to eat a heart with a soul in it, in particular a dragon's heart, since their souls are massively more powerful, the soul might take over the body and then transform the body over a long process into a full dragon to try and recuperate its entire power. Though most of the time, since the one who killed the dragon would try to eat the heart, the dragon already has more power, or at least has more skills from the body itself, and having absorbed the soul of the previous, host of the body. Basically, just meaning that Deku didn't know that, but from his, entire body screaming at him, he saved himself from fighting against the soul of the dragon internally, which he would actually have most likely won thanks to the, parallel minds, the 9 parallel minds to be precise, which could have most likely destroyed the soul of the dragon. But since he didn't know of that, and that his body was still screaming at him, he didn't take it. Anyway, the fairies still accepted the heart, since it is a huge amount of magic for them, and basically told him to not come back. And basically Deku leaves. And after that, he decided that he was actually going to only go in seclusion, and for the rest of his time there, try to absorb the 20 hearts he has in his body to have as much, power as possible. Basically, what he's doing is absorbing the hearts in his body directly to make his body have better nanomachines that can be created, but keep the mass, everything that can be transformed into nanomachines in that stomach until he actually needs them. So, yeah. Deku finally goes back to his world once all that's finished. When he came back, Inko had actually brought Bakugo inside, saying that this was the day he was supposed to come back. Before going back, though, he completely removed his wings, once again hid his tattoo, his guild mark, and basically appeared with white hairs, and I think I said he had purple eyes. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Basically appeared like that, with Inko and Bakugo obviously recognizing him, since he's the only one who would appear like that, from what they know, and basically ask what happened to his hairs and eyes, with Deku literally saying that, he grew stronger, and that where he was last, his body actually changed like that when he grew stronger. Though he can change it back with magic. Bakugo hearing magic, and Deku telling him that it's a bit of a long story. with Inko saying no it's not. With Deku saying that he has a world with actual magic that he can go to. And he can transform some parts of his body. Basically turning his eyes and hair back to green. Bakugo basically told Deku that they were going to train together now. And Deku telling him that, well, anyway, he doesn't plan on going back to any other worlds. Except for a single thing that he's only going to do over time. So yeah, he shouldn't have any problems now. And basically, this is the point where over the next 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years, basically until the day before he is supposed to meet All Might. Yes. Basically, during that entire time, like I had explained, every 4 months he goes back for an entire month to the world of magic to rebuild the entire wall, to actually learn about the dimension magic that lets him create his own little dimension. Which he actually only finished about, the previous last time he actually went there. The last time he went there, he actually learned the magic itself. And then he basically grew the world by opening the emerald apple and basically making a circle, basically planting all 12 of the seeds, giving them, basically accelerating the time inside that dimension by around 10 to 20. Basically allowing them to grow over time. With Deku basically staying in the Nexus Zone for, a long time till they give them time to actually grow a bit. Before actually going back to get some fairies, telling them he has a place for them to live. Bringing a few to his dimension, going back out, then going to his world, trying to do something that didn't work, which was bring one of the fairies outside in his world. But basically, because he cannot bring a being from another world to another world connected by the Nexus key, this cannot work. He can bring anyone from any world inside that dimension, though. But yeah, so I'm ending it here. In the next part, he's going to meet All Might for the first time. So yeah, hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. Natsu, out.